late 80s and early 90s, there were some trends that many game developers seemed to follow. One of those was to have the second game in a series completely change its game format, and the ultimate result is that those games are looked upon as the black sheep of their franchises. I think we've all seen the rant the angry video game nerd put on Castlevania Simon's Quest, and Super Mario Bros. 2 doesn't seem to be looked on that fondly today either. That brings us to Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Yes, this was the first and only game to put an official number on the title. The game takes place a few years after the first game, where Hyrule's recovery isn't going smoothly, mainly because Ganon's servants are running around trying to hunt and kill Link, since his blood will revive Ganon or something. When Link's 16th birthday comes, a strange triangular sign appears on his hand, which directs Impa to take him to a secret room in Hyrule's North Castle, where Princess Zelda lays sleeping. Not the Zelda you rescued before, no. This is supposedly the first Princess Zelda that all the others have been named after. To sum this up as best I can, there's a third Triforce out there, the Triforce of Courage, which was hidden away many years ago. When this Zelda's father died, he told her the secret of the third Triforce, but not her brother. When she refused to tell him, the dark wizard he was allied with put her under a sleeping spell against his wishes, driving the prince into mourning and demanding that every princess since be named Zelda. So now you've come of age to become the legendary hero. Apparently saving the other Zelda wasn't enough on its own, and must find the Triforce of Courage to awaken this Zelda and completely bring Hyrule to peace. The game again involves you going into dungeons, or in this case the 6 palaces, but it is reversed in that instead of claiming something like the Triforce pieces at the end of each dungeon, you actually need to use the 6 crystals that you already have on the statues in the palace. You make your way through the maze of each palace and find its hidden item, like the candle, the glove that allows you to break blocks, the raft, and the boots that allow you to walk on water. Get the item, then continue until you find the guardian of each palace, defeat it, and place a crystal in the statue, which destroys the palace. This removes the binding force that locks the Great Palace where the Triforce is held. The land of Hyrule has expanded greatly, and it may still be the largest total landscape of the land in any game. It's spread out over 2 continents, with several forests, deserts, and swamps, along with 8 towns: Rauru, Ruto, Maido, Saria, Naburu, Darunya, and 2 versions of Kasuto, the old abandoned town with ghosts haunting it, and the new one that you must find hidden within the trees. It may look like everything has changed, including putting Death Mountain in the south, but there actually is one spot in the very southwest that you'll recognize as the place where the original game took place. Yeah, this game actually did more to try to stabilize Hyrule's landscape than most of the forthcoming games did. The game does use an overhead view for traveling across the map, but all the action takes place in a side-scroll view, where you can now jump as well as attack. You have to fight monsters in both the overworld, the caves, and the palaces to build experience points and raise your 3 levels of attack, life, and magic. You also need to visit the multiple towns in Hyrule, where you get information and learn magic spells. It's impressive to me that in looking back, this game was essentially a mix of both an action-adventure game and an RPG, in that you needed to build experience and levels, but also needed to develop the hand-eye coordination to properly strike down foes. Maybe that's why a lot of people look back on this game with disdain, because this combination made the game extremely challenging to beginners. And believe me, this game was a challenge at first. I'm not lying when I say I died 100 times before I completed the first palace. Or rather, I lost all my lives 100 times. Yes, this game actually gives you multiple lives, and if you lose them all, even if you're in a palace, you start over back at North Castle. Believe me, that was frustrating. In fact, I'd say the first 2 Guardians are among the toughest, given the level you'd be at the time, and because you have to jump and hit them in the head. Some of the later ones are actually a cakewalk. You beat Karak the Wizard by just crouching and bouncing his spells back with reflect magic, and you take out Barba the Dragon by hitting him in the head when he pops in and out. Now, there are 1-up dolls you can get in the game, but since you can only get each once, you're best off saving them until you're ready to go to the last palace, and then stock up, because believe me, you'll need them. So once you place all the crystals and make your way through a valley of lava pits, you find the Great Palace, and yes, this is one major frickin' maze. To top it off, the monsters are several times harder. Even the bots that were pansies since level 2 now take 2 strikes at the maximum level. And that's not counting the giant ones that drop on you from above. At least you mercifully got to restart from this palace if you lost all your lives. Once you finally make it through the palace, you have to face 2 Guardians. The first one, Thunderbird, requires almost all your magic power since you need the shield for defense, jump to hit him, and reflect to block his fire. Then you still can't damage him before using Thunder. Make sure you have at least 1 life in reserve because you'll likely need it just to replenish your energy for the final fight. Yes, it's time to talk about the final battle. Meet the first ever incarnation of one of the most famous and disturbingly popular monsters in Zelda's history, Dark Link. Stronger and tougher than even the strongest Iron Knuckle, and one major pain in the Gluteus Maximus. I think most people know the only real way to even try to defeat him: crouch in the left corner and just swing away. And sometimes for me, not even that worked. It's basically a crapshoot to beat this guy. Once you beat Dark Link, you claim the Triforce of Courage to unite the full Triforce and reawaken Zelda. I wonder if she has the same culture shock as Rip Van Winkle did. The second Zelda game, I'm actually sad that it's gotten a bad rap over the years. Yes, it was challenging, but to me there was still a sense of satisfaction over completing it. Maybe Zelda fans didn't like the RPG elements, but it didn't require a ton of level grinding compared to some of the earlier actual RPGs. I guess the only thing that was really confusing to me was the opening story, as I found it hard to comprehend that Link was saving a different Zelda from the past, but that was mostly due to me being a stupid kid. And compared to the twists and turns this series will take, that was nothing. And those twists begin next time. Strap into your DeLorean and accelerate to 88 miles per hour, because we're going back in time for the third installment.